If you'd like to start us off, Michelle.
Happy to. Hi, everyone, and I hope you had a nice weekend. Today, we have an opportunity to hear from Capital Impact. Very exciting. But before we do so, I will pass it to our Executive Director, Matt Bogosian, for some updates. So, Matt, the floor is yours.
Great, Michelle. Thank you from the Century Foundation. Good morning, everyone. It's January 12th, 2026. This is AMCC's national call that happens every Monday, 11:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central, 9:30 Mountain, and 8:30 Pacific time. I'm Matt Bogosian, Executive Director of AMCC, the nation's manufacturing community of practice. David Van Sicklen is our Operations Director. As David encouraged, please put your name and affiliation in chat. As most of you know, this 30-minute national call has been happening every Monday, same time for about a decade, every non-holiday Monday. And it's been happening every month, every year, because manufacturing stakeholders like you want to help produce priority products in your regions and the states and the nation to accelerate our North Star. What I like to say is the Declaration of Independence says is our common quest to produce safety and happiness. It's right in there, 250th anniversary. We can all do that better and faster if the cornerstone of American manufacturing is robust, lifting companies, workers, communities, and all the rest. That's why we come together every week in two ways. Once at the beginning of the week here on this call, and at the end of every week with the AMCC Update newsletter. In both forums, we engage on best practices, tools, and tactics that can help manufacturers and the ecosystem of support in regions unwrap what is the best evidence of the component parts of the thriving manufacturing ecosystem of support. We call that ecosystem of support the Big Six. There's six elements of it. We have a metrics project underway with NIST and Argonne National Laboratory and many others that we can talk about later. But the point is the consistent weekly relationships that we build and maintain are key to making progress on building that common national narrative of evidence-based progress. So each and all of us can build better strategies, actions, and ultimately produce better structures in this country to harness the so much of the unbelievably unrealized American people power and innovation we have. So anyway, these Monday calls come in two flavors. One flavor is what we call roundtable calls, where it's mostly you all talking about issues, events, best practices from your neck of the woods, from your perch, whether it's in a public agency or a private manufacturer or service provider or nonprofit organization. No matter, all of those kind of perches matter into the ecosystem of support in a region. Could be from manufacturing itself or manufacturing professional association or federal, state, local government agencies, from the investment world, R&D world. You get the point. Other Mondays, like today, we have someone we've come to know from one of those perches talk longer about some of their work. We call these Monday AMCC National Calls presentation days. And that means after my little opening here, a few people introduce themselves, which is something we always do, no matter what kind of call it is. But then we get some from on presentation days, we get some meaningful detail uh, from someone that's going to be helpful to you all, but also may be an opportunity for you all to help our presenter do their work better, right? So that's what this is all about: collective impact. So enough from me. Let's do what we always do and have a couple of people raise your hand or wave at us or whatever. If you're new, please introduce yourself, say where you work. Or if you haven't introduced yourself in a while, reintroduce yourself, say where you are in your neck of the woods. This is, even on presentation days, we want to model this kind of introductory behavior because it matters to build these relationships, like I said. Um, so if you're new, raise your hand. If you haven't introduced yourself in a while, raise your hand. Just tell us where you are in the manufacturing world, ecosystem of support or otherwise. and then we can turn to our presentation. And I call on people too, so like that's part of the thing, and so that could happen. That could happen. Let's see. I'm looking around. Let's see. Tony Neary at SME. Tell us where you are and what you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. SME is a nonprofit. We've been around for almost 100 years, started as a member organization with tooling engineers, and we've grown and developed, and now we do work in workforce development. We curate events. Currently, we just went through an acquisition. We're launching more in the K through 8 space, linking Industry 4.0 to careers in manufacturing through STEM education. So acquired Milestone C out of Connecticut, and we'll be launching more programming in the K through 8 space in the coming year. But we're just trying to row the boat, right? We're just trying to get more people aware, help curate ways to tell stories to get students engaged, and keep doing the good work.
Thanks so much, Tony. Let's go to former Admiral Mark Whitney down there in Hampton Roads. Mark.
Somehow I knew you were going to call on me, so I started chewing fast. Hey, hello, everybody. Mark Whitney at the Virginia Digital Maritime Center. We're one of the 6 applied research centers for Old Dominion University. We are focused on technology insertion, digital analytics, and workforce development, and are collaborating here within the region to support the maritime industrial base. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for being on. So let's see. Anyone else want to let's do one or two more. Anyone else want to raise their hand to say where they are in the manufacturing ecosystem of support? Let's see here. Dean Peckham, tell us where you are and how you add value to the manufacturing ecosystem. All right, let's do Emil Runge.
Thanks, Matt. Emil Runge, launched Chapel Hill. Quick update from us. We happen to be launching our accepting applications for our launch powered by KPMG Deep Tech Accelerator. That's for companies that are looking for an initial or early customer. There's no cost, folks, going from the accelerator, no equity taken from the companies. We've actually had companies from across the country that have gone through, including spinouts from UCLA, Minnesota, University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. So applications will go through January the 29th, and then we'll run the accelerator for 6 weeks, starting March the 9th through April the 14th. Put my information in the contact. Feel free to reach out. Matt,
Thanks.
David, thank you so much for everything.
Yeah, thank you, Emil. And one more. Hey, let's do Chris from another podcast, Manufacturing Happy Hour. Chris, welcome. We have our American Manufacturing American Century podcast, and Chris and I have talked about kind of co-podcasting. So, Chris, welcome. Tell folks who you are and what you do. Yeah.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Lukey, host of the Manufacturing Happy Hour podcast. So it's a weekly show that's been running for, as of this year, 10 years. So we're doing a big 10-year anniversary cross-country tour with live shows and events across the country throughout 2026. But at the end of the day, it's a leadership podcast, guys, as a manufacturing podcast. It's kind of like a TEDx meets How It's Made. We interview executives, frontline leaders on the show every week to pull the best tips and tricks from these folks. So that way, folks, particularly across North America, about 80% of our audience is based here in the U.S. So it definitely has a U.S. manufacturing spin to it, but it's meant to equip leaders from across the manufacturing world with time-tested strategies and technologies and things that are working for their peers across the industry. So happy to be here.
Awesome, Chris. Thanks. Looking forward to next steps with you too. Hey, all right. So that's good. Thanks everyone for chiming in there. Let's get to the presentation part today. You all know that as the nation's manufacturing community of practice, we've done these in-person roadshow visits. David, you could drop the link, to some of those, people could look at them. That's where we meet regional leaders who want to get better organized, and we've done them all over the country. We're looking forward to doing more this year. So if you want to explore that opportunity, please let David and I know about that, and we can get that conversation going. Takes a little time to ramp up, but we want to augment whatever you're doing with our evidence-based approach so that you can do it faster, better, etc. Some of the people, many of the people on this call, have been key players in many AMCC roadshow visits around the country. You can talk to them about their experiences too. Anyway, today we have Lex Carlsson, VP at Capital Impact, California firm supporting advanced manufacturing in the Central Valley. And so, Lex, great to have you here. Lex is part, in part here because of our in-person California visits. The state government there, like other state governments across the country, are leaning in on adding value with, smarter industrial policies and other interventions. There's way more to do on that front. But as a public sector intervention, that's only part of the story, right? Manufacturers and the ecosystem of support need operational improvement and capital access. So Lex is going to share about their efforts in the Central Valley of California. And as we said in the Friday AMCC update, feedback to Lex it will be well received. So anyway, Lex, welcome. Tell us about your work, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Matt and David. Hi, everyone. As Matt mentioned, my name is Lex Carlsson. I'm based here in California, and I'm going to go ahead and get this thing started and share my screen. We are currently supporting a regional industry association called the Manufacturers Council of the Central Valley, along with a regional initiative through the California Jobs First grant program, all to say in standing up an advanced manufacturing industry intermediary. And so this region in California, the northern Central Valley, has such a deep industrial legacy with food, ag, wine, and bev manufacturing, and is really starting to diversify its base. And so our work in 2025 and in 2026 is really about, so much of it really is translating the big six from AMCC into, tactical activities and work that will not only meet the needs of existing manufacturers in the Central Valley who are dealing with many pressures. I'm sure many of manufacturers that y'all are dealing with too, and also to start thinking about what are those next industry clusters of the future. We want to be showing that our existing manufacturers can go towards Industry 4.0 and start to really attract more advanced manufacturers to the region. And so I'll do a little bit of a background here on the Manufacturers Council. They've been around for over 35 years. They represent, I think the number's tricking up to 45 member companies. They do a lot around advocacy. They have a new workforce development committee and a lot around environmental and regulatory advocacy in the region. This is a little visual of their current members. So many in the food, wine, ag, bev space, as well as the irrigation districts and energy providers. And we're getting additional companies to really come and join the Manufacturers Council that are in non-food clusters as we begin to really strengthen this regional voice. Our work in being this advanced manufacturing intermediary that we call ourselves AMP, the Advanced Manufacturing Partnership, we're taking some lessons learned out of the AMCC playbook. So we're standing up a monthly connections call in the region that is really aiming to fill a void in terms of how we're connecting public agencies to employers and translating insights into tactical plans. We're also working on a talent finance strategy with all three workforce boards in each each county. And so really making sure that we can stand up, pay for outcome, pay for success, talent pipeline work. We're working on standing up the Smart Factory pilot program, which is going to be the focus of the presentation today. And we're looking to host several implementation workshops with employers later this spring in what we're seeing as emerging industry clusters in the region, and really starting to gather C-suite level leadership in those emerging industry clusters, and to help grow those clusters and accelerate business growth. So as mentioned, we're going to go deep today on the development of a smart factory energy program in the region. This is currently in design. And so part of the presentation today is I want to share how we are doing this work in terms of solving what is one of the largest concerns from employers that we're working with, and also get insight from this community. If you are somebody who is tackling energy issues with manufacturers and industry, we want to take lessons learned and what's working well for you. So a little bit of how we even landed on a smart factory program. Long story short, our region had to put together this regional activation plan. And one of our strategies, of course, is to accelerate digital technology adoption. And we want to increase the competitiveness and resiliency of manufacturers as the goal and the outcome. And in talking directly with manufacturers, particularly small and mid-sized ones, we heard that they need more support in terms of advancing towards Industry 4.0. However, for many of those SMEs, we heard that the term smart factory felt really abstract and expensive. And so in these conversations, we were starting to hear, well, energy management is really like the front door, like the enabling condition for getting companies to, one, feel more comfortable with doing more data analytics, which can turn into automation, which can really turn into a cultural shift internal to a company. And we're also hearing that their energy bills are just sky high right now. We heard an anecdote that in 2025, a 1 month worth of energy for one manufacturer was about 3 months worth in 2024. And so we're hearing that cost, or that shift in cost, is really impacting their business decisions to invest in any type of innovation at all, or engage with workforce upskilling initiatives, et cetera. If anyone here is really excited to learn more about how we're operationalizing this work, I'm happy to share our activation plan. There's just a few slides here that kind of dictate how we've mapped this out. We feel that tracking, impact metrics and evaluation is really important in this process too. So we've outlined, how are we going to track success, particularly from an employer-led perspective in this work. So we'll be starting to collect some baseline data in terms of number of firms who are going through energy modernization or adaptation projects and things like that. And so our work in developing this smart factory program really started with hearing from manufacturers. What do they want to first tackle in becoming a smarter factory towards Industry 4.0? So that was energy. We've done the work to compile a list of organizations in the region who are currently offering, energy related programming, audits, rebates, things like that. We're currently doing a round of discovery calls with several of our energy providers, both PG&E and the local irrigation districts, to better understand where do manufacturers get stuck if they do an energy audit, what happens next, and how can we get them unstuck. And we are currently building out what will be a 6-week program targeting about 5 to 6 small mid-sized manufacturers, some who may have done energy audits and we need to get them unstuck to get through that journey, or for some who haven't done any at all. And this is less about selling, and it's more about being a capacity builder and helping to translate the ecosystem of support and resources that are currently available. With that, I'm going to pass things over to my colleague Paul Rosenblum to get a little bit more into the nitty gritty of what we're building out here. And yeah, Paul, I'll kick it over to you.
Hey, good morning. Thanks, Lex, and nice to see everyone. I'm a fan of the calls, but first time, so great to be here. And so just kind of building on what Lex has shared, we're building out a program this spring, and really we're looking for a few good manufacturers in the region that want to participate in a learning journey. We want to make sure we get the right folks to the table, so a decision maker as well as someone who's kind of 6 levels deep and has insight into operations in the floor. But kind of a 2-part where you're learning from others, both local and regional or national examples, but then getting a bit more granular to work with work with experts to kind of move through some kind of process. And so we're picking up on a felt sense that we've had through conversations that energy is an issue. There are great programs, but kind of going from A to Z and implementation is a challenge. So we hear about audits that happen and the analysis or report gets left on the floor or on the shelf for any number of reasons. So we really want to get in there to help actually take something through to implementation into completion and showcase value, and then use that, as Lex is saying, as kind of the entree into more detailed conversations about operational upgrades and improvements. So we've put together kind of some early thoughts on what some of that kind of upfront learning might be. No surprises to anyone here on the call. Kind of some sector specific discussions in terms of a food manufacturing operation, something with transportation, and then as well as looking at actually funding improvements. So we know that that's an issue as well. And there are novel, as you all know, financing mechanisms, but how to really help a busy company absorb that information and take it through to completion. And so we're here in early days 26, getting smart on the smart factory. Oh, that sounds good. And then yeah, continuing to have some conversations and then bring some manufacturers in with the goal of doing kind of this two-part learning journey in the early spring, and then wrapping up in May. So we're coming here today to kind of just hear from you all, and I see we got some local friends on the call as well. Gary Potter's a great resource in the Central Valley. So we know there are some local examples, but we just want to also get folks' input or hear questions as we kind of go into this design phase.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, so thanks, Paul. Good to meet you. Lex, thanks for your presentation. Yeah, this is a conversation. So this is, you're putting your thumb on a real challenge, right? We have roughly 240,000 manufacturers across the United States, and most of them are SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, and they're busy. And the speed of change is fast, and so getting authentic attention to improvements is almost everybody's challenge here from whatever perch they happen to occupy. And so obviously the MEP system has, we have Carrie Hines on here and a bunch of MEPers from across the country on this call every week, is a great source because they've been doing that for 30 years. Although, California's MEP has kind of been blown up recent, but the the advisors within it are still available. So I don't know if you guys, so like my first thought is like, okay, who in that world have you tapped into to build those trusted relationships with manufacturers? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great starting point. I think the edge that we have is working with an existing manufacturers council. So they've been great in terms of that trusted relationship. And I know, David, you've made some intros to some of our MEP providers here in California, so they're on our list. But yeah, I want to get to Jim. Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, and thanks for your time and your information. So I manage a manufacturing partnership here in southeastern Pennsylvania, but I also manage the Smart Energy Initiative of southeastern PA. So it's an energy partnership. I wanted to know if you have seen Team PA, literally Team TEAM PA. They had put out a website earlier this summer on for free that manufacturers can log into that helps them create the pathway from wherever they are in the 4.0 process to where they might need to go. We had tried to do it as our alliance about 3 years ago. Our manufacturers asked us to put an application in for grant funds, which we did. And 5 or 6 had signed on and said, yes, we want to do this, then disappeared when it came down to asking them to do a little bit of work. So Team PA had a much more success than we did.
Love it. I have not seen it, but that is next on my list to look into. And I'm from the Philly, New Jersey area, so I love the PA example there.
And my contact's in the chat if you need it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jim. Yeah, Will.
Hey, Lex. Hi, Paul. Great to see you. Will Toastburn, UC Berkeley, but working on a very similar initiative out here in Contra Costa and Solano counties in the Bay Area, trying to support a clean energy manufacturing industry. My question for you is, sounds like you're working with with existing manufacturers, which is great. As it comes to the energy question, and especially as you're talking to energy providers, are you also thinking about new builds or new generation interconnection? A lot of what we're hearing about is both the rates are high, but the time to get connected and get the power infrastructure you need is just way too long. So we're really thinking a lot about that. How do we spur development near existing power infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera? So just curious, I'd love to connect more, but just wondering if you're talking about sort of new builds or what to do bringing in new manufacturers in addition to helping existing manufacturers get more efficient.
Yeah, it's a great piece. That two-pronged approach is so important, short term and long term in mind. Our work is really aiming to really get the existing manufacturers on board to the longer term work by showing, hey, we're gonna be a painkiller to your issues right now. And then North Valley Thrive, our region's initiative funded by the state of California to tackle more of those long-term strategy. They're doing a lot of work right now. There's actually a whole clean energy team consisting of a few of the leading, energy consultancy firms thinking about, feasibility studies, or they're doing feasibility studies around on-site generation and things like that, and more of those longer term bets in place. So yeah, Will, sounds like a lot more to connect on there.
Yeah, great. Thanks. I'll connect with you all. And I think Nate Hunt is on the North
Yeah.
Valley Thrive. So, yep. Awesome.
Oh,
Thank
great.
you.
Oh yeah, Nate's great. Yeah, curious.
Awesome. Please go ahead, Lex. Yeah.
Yeah, has anyone here, I appreciate Jim's, sometimes things don't go as planned. You stand up a program and then the manufacturers poof. Curious from folks here on the call, who here has brought together a cohort of manufacturers specifically to tackle energy work, and successful models, and how did that look for you? I know we got a couple minutes left, but curious if anyone has done that kind of cohort learning there.
Are you guys familiar with the Clean Energy Smart Manufacturing Innovation Institute?
No.
No.
So I apologize, I can't use my camera right now, but my name is Dean Bartles, and my company runs the first Manufacturing USA Institute, which is focused on additive manufacturing. But there's one based out of UCLA currently that's been around for several years. It's called CESME, the Clean Energy Smart Manufacturing Innovation Institute. And the CEO there is a guy named John Dyke, D-Y-K-E. And I would be happy to connect you with him. My email address, Matt can give you, but it's basically Dean, D-E-A-N Bartles, B-A-R-T-L-E-S, at MTDG, MaryTomDavidGeorge.org. But I'd be happy to make that connection for you if you'd like.
That would be great. Thanks so much, Dean.
Thanks, Dean. And one more, Andrew.
Yes. Sorry, I had to hit that unmute button. Yes, I would love to share anything I did over the last couple of years here in the Inland Empire. A lot of the challenges, themes. I can share bruises, skin knees if you'd like, no problem. On building a coalition. So we were focused in on a DOE grant found through this organization. High fives again to AFCC. To address how to help small to medium-sized manufacturers adopt more efficiency overall. And so we worked through a lot of different ways into reaching out to them. I can share with you that our best channel was through trusted existing relationships over trying to do any sort of direct. But anyway, I know we have very little time, but I'm here. I'm a resource. I put my information in the chat for you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Andrew, and everyone.
Yeah. I became a big fan through all of it. So I'm a big cheerleader.
Awesome. And I said one more. Okay, Megan. Love it. Get it. Oh, you're on mute.
There, try that. Sorry. Same sort of thing. It may not be, it wasn't energy specific, but I dropped it in specifically to you, Lex, information about our Mass Manufacturing Accelerator Program, which is designed to help our manufacturers in Massachusetts access capital to add technology. We're in round 6. There's been a lot of lessons learned. I'm happy to connect you up with my colleagues there around that program if you want to just kind of see what we did around that process.
Thanks so much, Megan, and Lex and Paul. Thank you guys for coming on. And just sharing the challenge, right? That's part of it. And this is kind of emblematic of the AMCC community that wants to, it's trusted relationships. It's not just any relationships, it's building trusted, authentic relationships. And I think you guys modeled that this morning with your humble ask, and a great response from folks. David, do you want to say something about the chat in case people are gripping about, finding the context in the chat? Yeah. Nope, you're
If there's anything in the chat that you weren't able to grab for yourself, please feel free to email me. I save all of them, so I'm happy to send that along to everyone. For upcoming Monday calls, we will not be having one next week because of the holiday, and so we'll next return on January 26th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. So thanks everyone for coming to this one. And Matt, you want to close us out?
Yeah, no, that's awesome, you guys. Thanks so much for being good teammates, and have a good week. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. And be safe out there. Thanks so much.
Thanks all.
Thanks,
Take care.
y'all.